All right, let's talk through getting songs ready, multi-tracks ready in Ableton, all the way through from multi-tracks all the way to the Dante session. So here I am on multitracks.com. I'm going to click account. Here's all of our recent purchases. So I'm just going to pick one of these songs. I'm going to do This Is Our God. We'll hop in here. We'll hit download. You can choose a key. So I'm going to choose the original key of C. It's going to download this file. Okay, so once it's done, you're just going to hop over here, drag it onto your desktop. Once you do that, we are done with this browser. We're going to unzip it. All right, once we unzip it, it's going to drop a folder for us here. We can delete the zip file. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this folder. So I'm going to click in here, click rename. It does the song and then the album name. The album name is not helpful for me, so I usually will replace it with the artist's name, Phil Wickham. And then I'll delete all this extra excess stuff over here on 80 BPM. I just need 80 because I know that means BPM. So there we go. So once we've done that, we can click on it. We can open up the session. All right, now that we're in, the very first thing I'm going to do is come in here and rename this click track. So I'm going to click on it, right click, rename. We see here's the shortcut, Command R. And I'm just going to put the song name, This Is Our God, the key, which is C, and the tempo, which is 80. That's the first thing I'm going to do. So after I do that, I'm going to double click on this file. It's going to pull this up for me down here because we need to set this click track as the tempo leader. So when we pull it into our other session, it is ready to lead the tempo and have us all in time. So I'm going to come down here, I'm going to click warp. You see the segment BPM here comes to 80, which is right. Now I'm going to hit leader. And you'll know it's right when your leader tab is lit up and the 80 up here in the Ableton metronome is blacked out like that. So you see if I take leader off, it becomes white. This means that Ableton is in charge. Clicking this on leader makes this track in charge. So we've done that. We can test that just by turning on the metronome and press and play. And we hear that the Ableton metronome is matching the project, so we're good to go there. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to click all these musical tracks here, select them all, right click and hit group tracks or Command G. And that's going to put them all in a nice group for me to work in. So I'm going to rename this as well. This Is Our God. And I'm not crazy about the color red, so I'm just going to pick a different color. Alright, so once we've done this, I'm going to hit Command S. When you download a project for the first time, it's going to give you this little menu. When you try to save, you just click Save As. Put it where you want to put it. I always leave it just in the folder, the This Is Our God folder. Hit Save. Or do you want to replace it? Replace. There we go. So now we're saving as we go. So the last thing we got to do is put our markers in. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to right click. I'm going to click Insert Midi Track. So it's going to pull this up. I'm going to change its color to white just for organizational purposes, and then renaming it to markers or cues, whatever you want to call it whatever you want. So now that we have that ready, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to come over here, and then we're going to set up all our cue tracks. And so to do that, I'm clicking and selecting across like this, right click, insert MIDI clip, and you see here's the hotkey right here, Shift Command M. That's going to come really handy as you type a lot of these out. So I'm going to click on that. It's going to pull this up. I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to hit Command R, and that's going to let me rename it. So now all we have to do is match each section to the original locator up above it like this. So I'm going to go through and rename all of those. So once we've done that, I'll drag the markers in between the click track and the guide. It's just my preference. You can put it wherever you'd like. And then we could go in to the tracks and start muting things that we don't need, like drums, bass, piano, etc. So once we do that, we hit Command S. And now we are done with this project. We can open our Dante session. So I'm going to close this out. So I'm going to grab the folder and just drag it into my stems folder. We see it start to load. So we'll let it do its thing. Alright, so once we've done that and it is safely in our stems folder, we'll see it down here. This is our God. There it is. So once we've got it, we can delete it off our desktop. We don't need that anymore. So now we're going to open our Dante session template. So I'm going to go stems, Ableton, Dante set template right here. Open that up. So if you ever see this screen when you open Dante for the first time, or the Dante session for the first time, you can just hit Tab on your keyboard and it will change the view for you to what you're familiar seeing. Alright, so now that we have Dante open, the first thing we're going to do is hit Shift Command S. That is Save As. So if you don't know the hotkey, you can go up here and hit Save Like Set As. We're going to call this #Sunday and save. So now you see we've gotten off the template, we've got our Sunday session ready, we can start working. So first thing we need to do, go in here, go to our stems folder in Ableton. You see it's got all our songs here. You can scroll through and try to find it if you want. I usually will just come up here and search. So this little bar up here, you can search things. Type "This Is Our God." There it is. So we're going to take the ALS file. We're going to drag it. Remember, we want to put it where it says drop files and devices here. So we're going to drop it in, and here it is. You can see our work has paid off here from earlier. Here's the markers. There's our tracks in the folder, all that good stuff. So this tab over here, we'll close that. So we got some room to work with. So we need to select all of this and cut it. So I'm going to hit minus to zoom out, minus on my keyboard. I'm going to click over here and drag, holding it down. I'm going to select everything that just came in. I'm going to hit Command X. So that is going to cut everything for us. Then I'll come down here. I'll usually choose somewhere in like 11, 12, 13, 14, somewhere in there. We'll just use 13 today. We'll hit Command V and we'll see it paste. Now the important thing is make sure you cut it from the tracks all the way up to click track, and then when you go to paste, make sure you're clicking on this old click track file or track, this click track and pasting from there. That way everything stays aligned. So once we do that, we can even add our locator. So right click, add locator. That'll be number 1. So once we do that, we need to click on the click file, hold shift, click on the guide file, and then we want to drag it up all the way to the top like that into our click, cues, and guide section. We do this because these tracks are already pre-routed to Ableton in the right place. So we can delete these old clicks, and if we zoom out, we see everything's lined up. Oh, except for our guide track. See how it cuts off early right there? Sometimes when we're moving tracks around, Ableton kind of freaks out, and it'll do something like this. Sometimes it's the guide, sometimes it's the tracks. It can be a plethora of different things. It's no big deal. We just have to zoom in, let your mouse turn into this little bracket, and just drag the click track over until you run out of room. So now you see everything fits perfectly. So we'll Command S just to save what we got. And now if I hit play on this, you'll notice that we can't hear anything. That is because this is a session that's routed for Dante, and so we need to route it as such. So if you want to hear what's going on while you're working, you can take this negative infinity right here, the first one, and pull it up, and you'll hear tracks come in And you just have to do the same thing to click and guide. So you can drag them up a little bit and do your work in there.
1.
That'll let you hear everything. So once you got it where you can hear it, next thing we need to do is add our locators. You see we have no locator tracks anywhere. So all you have to do is click on the cue, the marker files like this, and just press the L key, and you see it starts making those for me. You just need to make sure you're in lowercase L, don't have your caps lock on. That will keep this from working. So I'm going to go through and click all of these. So once we have our song ready, we just have to now get our tracks ready to be compatible with Dante. It's pretty simple. A lot of that is going to happen down in here if you're wondering what all of these were. So you see these instruments, perk, BGVs, acoustic, click guide, full tracks. These are all returns, and they're mapped to different outputs. And these outputs are what send stuff to our audio console in the right way. So you see they all have a label, A, B, C, D, E, F. You can see them over here too, A, B, C, D, E, F. Now, these A, B, C, D, E, Fs all correspond to these negative infinities right here. So this is A, B, C, D, E, and F. Okay, and so what we need to do is we need to open, this is our guide, and then we need to, they're already open, but we need to open all of our individual tracks up like this right here. So what we have to do now is send each of these tracks to the right place, and the way we do that is pretty simple. So like we said, these all correspond A, B, C, D, E, F, A, B, C, D, E, F. So anything, if we start from the top, so drums, perk, loop, and synth FX, those are all percussion channels, right? They're percussion instruments. So percussion is in the B output. So we need to select all our percussion tracks and turn the B output all the way up, just like that. Okay, so this will send drums, perk, loop, and synth effects through the percussion channel on our audio console. Then we move down to the next one. We have bass and synth bass. These are just normal instruments. So this instruments tab, the A instruments tab, is anything that is tonal or musical or makes musical notes. So synth and synth bass both fall in that category. So we're going to drag the A return up all the way. Now acoustic is a little bit different. Acoustic has its own special channel here. You see D for A, G. So we're going to go A, B, C, D. We're going to drag the D channel up. And I can explain this in detail another time, but we're also going to turn it up in full tracks. So your acoustic will always have D and F turned all the way up. Now we move to our electric. So electric 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the group, we're going to hold shift, we're going to select them all. Again, these are musical instruments, tonal instruments, so they fall under the instruments return. So we're going to turn the A track back up, all the way up for them. We keep moving down. All of our keys tracks, they're the same way. We're going to select them all, they're tonal instruments. We're going to turn them all the way up in the A channel. Then lastly, we have all of our vocals. So there's BGVs, there's choir, BGVs effects, Vox effects. Those are all vocal type things. We see BGVs is the C channel, so we're going to count over A, B, C, and we're going to turn those up, just like so. And so a way you can test if this is working is you can find a big section of the song. I'm going to close this, like maybe the biggest chorus right here, and then we'll see all of our returns starting to light up that they're getting signal. You can see. Now you'll notice now you can hear some music. Well, why do you hear that? That is because the instruments is set to output 1 and 2. So that's like the speakers on your MacBook. That's why you can only hear 1 and 2. That's just a little tip if you're ever wondering why you hear something. The reason you don't hear percussion, background vocals, acoustic, click, or full tracks is because your computer doesn't have 10 different speakers on it. It only has 2. And so it can only hear what the instruments are playing. What the instrument tab is playing, I should say. So lastly, this is already done for you with the template, but just in case, your click and guide, they fall into this clicking guide return, which is channel E. So we'll go A, B, C, D, E. You see it's already turned up. A, B, C, D, E, already turned up. And so once you do that, you can close all of this stuff. You can minimize all that so you can see. And then you'll just have to rinse and repeat for the other songs. And that's it.